So connect, drop to your side. Now watch, keeping everything pinched. I want to arch my back and look behind me as I pull up on my wrist. So look behind me, pull up on my wrist, and make sure I secure her hip and her knee.
Straight ankle foot lock. This is going to be one of the first foot locks you actually learn as a white belt. It's sort of an introduction into the other ones like the toe hold, the heel hook, the knee bar, all sorts of fun stuff. I'm going to do my best, honestly, not to bore you. So I want to just strip it down and give you just the most important things that it comprises, and then hope you guys can at least just take one bit of information from it. Just as a quick safety measure, this foot lock has a tendency that some people feel it, some people feel a pain, some people won't. And I wouldn't go by the person that says I don't feel it, unless there's someone there that actually knows the technique to watch over you, because it can easily just keep going too far and you can really hurt yourself. I've had my ankle pop real bad once in a tournament, and I don't really feel foot locks, so it just kept going and it just started to tear and it blew up like a balloon. So you don't really want to mess with it just willy-nilly. To start off with this foot lock, it's going to be the exact same position as the heel hook video I did. So we did a video called the most dangerous submission ever, and it's about the heel hook. And if you haven't seen that, go watch. It's the same sort of position. I'm going to quickly just show it anyways, but I want to save the details just to get into the actual foot lock mechanics. So check out that one if you want to keep up to date. But for the entry, we're going to keep it as simple as possible. So basically, I'm going to have one foot go in the center, one foot's going to go on the outside. And the one that's going on the inside, I want to create a hook. So a hook is when I flex my toes back and create like essentially what it is. It's a hook. So any object in front of here, I can pull with it. So I hook on her thigh on this side, and I can pull with it, and I can stay nice and strong. This leg over here, I want to mount my heel on the hip. Just want to scoop my butt in nice and tight. The idea is here, I want to make sure that my hip goes right underneath her knee pit. All right, and I'll explain why in a second. So anyways, we bring that hook in, heel to the hip. Now watch, I want to pinch my knees. So I want to pinch my knee. So if you notice what's happening here with all foot locks, they require three things. Control of the hip, the knee, and the ankle. All of them. Pretty much all of them do. Hip, knee, ankle. So right now, I have the hip with both my legs. I have the knee with not only my pinching of my own knees and my hip, and I have control of the ankle by whatever grip the technique is, whatever grip the submission is. Essentially, the foot lock is like this. All we're doing is we're putting pressure down on the toes as I'm elevating up into the Achilles. So there's a counter pressure going on. So I'm being pushed down, I'm pushing down the foot as I'm lifting up the Achilles. And that's what's going to cause a pain on the top of the curve of the foot. And that's what's going to eventually tear. And the idea is by controlling the hip and the knee, they can't alleviate the strain. They can't alleviate it. They can't move away from it. But imagine if I were to just sort of crank it like this, she can kind of move around and squirm and go with it. But if I like locked it in place and they can't move it and I start elevating, it's going to break her foot. So once we lock in, the idea is this. I want to get an overhook. Lock around the ankle. I want to get just the entry of my wrist into it. That's it. Wrist under the Achilles. I want to bring my palm as high up on my chest as possible. That's really huge. Bring it high up to the chest. Connect your hand to it. So my free hand connects to my own palm. Elbow tight. Now watch. Pinch the hip, pinch the knee, fall to your shoulder. Now you can see I'm on my elbow. You do not want to finish it on your elbow. It's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. Maybe if you're super strong, but it's definitely not an elegant way to do it. So make sure that part of the wrist is in the Achilles. Her toes are in your armpit. Almost feeling like they're going to pop out. Like almost feeling like this will happen. But obviously don't let it happen. So connect. Drop to your side. Now watch. Keeping everything pinched, I want to arch my back and look behind me as I pull up on my wrist. So look behind me, pull up on my wrist, and make sure I secure her hip and her knee. And as I arch back, you're going to get a really quick tap. Now very quickly, I just want to show you some common mistakes that happen all the time. I see it in class, it's unbelievable how often it happens. It's very natural, it's okay. So the first mistake that I notice is when people go for the actual lock, they stay on their elbow. Now again, it's not the end of the world, but it really makes a huge difference in its effectiveness. So you don't want to stay on your elbow because then the arch is limited. I can't really arch as far as I want to.
drop to your shoulder. Once I drop to my shoulder, I'm gonna relieve her foot so she can relax. I can continually just press. Look, I'm pressing into her and arching my back. Could you imagine if I still had her foot? It would be completely gone, right? So you always want to fall to your shoulder instead of your elbow. The next mistake, it's crazy. I actually never caught myself doing it until later on when we were sitting around and just passing information about techniques with the other students and the other competitors, and we were like, oh wow, we never really noticed that this habit that we were doing. And this habit made a dramatic difference. It's unbelievable. So when I'm doing the foot lock and I keep that shallow part of my wrist in the Achilles, toes in the armpit, when I go for the finish, what people naturally will do is as they're cranking, I'm going to crank higher up so you can see, they let the wrist slide down and they're going, why aren't they tapping? So they are arching, they're like, look, I'm arching. But the wrist doesn't stay up with them. It actually drops down, which does what? It's just relieving the pressure. It's just slowly relieving it. So you have to really make a mental effort to connect. And as you're going for the finish, you want to make sure that you're pulling it with you. And just like the last mistake that can happen is people not adhering to that 3-point control. There's sort of a rule for foot locks. You have to control the 3 points. So a lot of times people will remember, controlling the hip by placing their feet properly like this, but they'll maybe keep their hips far away so it doesn't control the knee. And then maybe as they're going for the foot lock, they wonder why the person can sort of turn, rotate, maybe do all sorts of stuff like that. Which, by the way, if you're in a foot lock, I wouldn't just advise just quickly turning, because again, you're isolating the entire leg. And in that is your knee, and your knee has a lot of ligaments that if you just turn wrong really quickly and they're going in the opposite direction you're turning, you're going to tear a lot of stuff. So you generally don't want to do that. But you'll notice people can squirm, right? So you have to remember 1, 2, and 3. You have to remember the hip and the knee. The knee is covered by my own hip. So now that's it. This leg is isolated from those 2 points. And then finally, I have to go for the final finish, which is either the foot lock, the heel hook, we have toe holds, all sorts of a lot of fun stuff. And that's going to be it for the straight ankle foot lock. I hope again you guys took even one piece of information. That's all I care about. I really honestly, I know I ramble on a lot, but I ramble on in the hopes that maybe throughout my 1 hour, or not an hour, but my exaggerated hour of talking, that someone can say, you know what, I just took this one thing and I applied it in my training and it really made a huge difference. It's all I really care about. So I hope you took something from the foot lock today that you can just translate and feel like, wow, my game just dramatically improved. Usual stuff. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that. Like the video, share them, and I'll see you guys on the next one.